A TV host, eager to boost ratings, invites an allegedly possessed girl to his show on Halloween. However, things quickly take a dark turn as a skeptic whom he had invited on the show dares the demon-possessed girl to prove her authenticity. Hey guys, welcome back to IM Movies. Today we're looking into the 2023 supernatural horror film titled Late Night with the Devil. But before we jump into the details, be aware there are spoilers. Now let's get right into it. This movie, which is being portrayed as a documentary, begins by introducing Jack Delroy, an ambitious host of a late-night TV show called Night Owls. On the 1st of April 1971, Jack aired the first episode of Night Owls on UBC. He starts by thanking everyone who helped him realize his dreams, and the Night Owl show kicks off. As time goes on, Jack uses his hosting talents to conduct entertaining interviews, comedy, and music. Within a short time, Night Owls with Jack Delroy had captured the hearts of fans all over America. Following the success of the Night Owl show, UBC owner Jack Belford signs a 5-year deal with him. Jack's hosting talents and popularity soon propels him to be nominated for Oscars, and he soon begins to set his sights on becoming the king of late-night shows. Nevertheless, Jack's success story wouldn't be complete without mentioning his beloved wife, Madeline Piper. Madeline, who is a stage actress, is seen as a source of support and motivation for her husband, as he relentlessly aims for the top. However, Madeline seems not to be Jack's only support, as there have been rumors of his involvement with The Grove, a men-only club located in the Redwoods of California. Members of this club are said to be politicians, entertainers, and CEOs of major industries. Even though The Grove has been described to be a harmless summer camp for the rich and powerful, there have been rumors of their arcane rituals which make people wonder what they really do in there. Following Jack's association with these powerful lots, his career keeps soaring, and he keeps getting nominations but no wins. Amid Jack's struggle for dominance, Madeline gets diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, even though she doesn't smoke. After this disturbing diagnosis, Madeline makes a special appearance on the Night Owl show, where they both display the loving bond they share as a couple. 2 weeks after this, Madeline passes on, leaving Jack devastated. Jack soon flees New York and begins to shun the media spotlight as he grieves the death of his wife. Surprisingly, a month later, UBC announces the return of the Night Owl show with Jack Delroy. In Jack's quest to improve audience share and reach the top of showbiz, he teams up with his longtime producer, Leo Fisk, and the two soon begin to court controversies. However, despite all their efforts, Jack's rating continues to plummet, and his sponsors begin to get nervous. Plus, this is coming at a time when his contract is set to expire, which means UBC may not sign another deal with him. With everything on the line, Jack comes up with an idea for an occult-themed show that is set to air on the night of Halloween, in October 1977. This is an episode of the Night Owl show that Jack believes will revive his dying career. This episode, titled Late Night with the Devil, is set to be broadcast live from UBC Studios, featuring guests with paranormal abilities. Special guests for this show's episode include psychic Christo, skeptical former magician Haig Carmichael the Conjurer, parapsychologist author June Ross Mitchell, and her subject Lily Dabo. Shortly after welcoming the guests, Jack introduces Christo, a psychic who is believed to communicate with the dead. Upon Christo's arrival, he reveals that Halloween is a time when the doors of the underworld get opened for the recently deceased to complete their unfinished tasks. Christo further adds that Halloween masks are actually meant to hide our faces from angry spirits. Following this, Jack requests that Christo begin his performance. Soon, Christo begins to give vague details about some deceased people who happen to be related to the audience. While at it, Christo makes a shocking revelation about the late son of a woman in the audience, revealing that her son, who had died by suicide, wanted her to know that he's now at peace. This shocking revelation sends a shiver down the spine of the audience, as the woman admits he's right. However, as the audience begins to applaud Christo for his amazing talent, he suddenly begins to experience the presence of a strong spirit. Following this, Christo requests anyone named Minnie, as he begins to experience a premonition about the person, revealing that the person is an unmarried man with a wedding ring. However, despite his desperate request for a subject, no one in the audience claims to have anything to do with the name. The lights suddenly go off, and as it comes on, Christo reveals that the angry spirit has left. Shortly after this, Jack decides that they need to go on a commercial break. Backstage, Jack meets with his producer, Leo, who reveals to him that he was the one behind the whole light trick, describing it as great television. After the break, Jack invites Carmichael Haig on stage. Carmichael happens to be the leader of a skeptic organization that strongly believes that paranormal activities do not exist. This organization uses scientific methods to test the ingenuity of paranormal activities. After coming up on stage, Carmichael, who used to be a stage magician, performs some of his old magic tricks to wow the audience. Afterward, Jack reveals that Carmichael has been carrying a check of $100,000 around to gift anyone whose paranormal claims can be verified. However, Christo states that he doesn't need Carmichael's money. Shortly after, Jack tells Carmichael to reveal what he thinks about Christo's psychic abilities. With this, Carmichael tells them that Christo is just a trickster and a liar, revealing areas where he thinks he might have flopped. However, Christo, feeling insulted, angrily pours a glass of water on Carmichael and then attempts to leave the stage. Regardless of this, Carmichael continues to taunt Christo about his fake performance. In a sudden twist, Jack gives Christo credit for his psychic ability by pointing out that the name Minnie was the private nickname his wife Madeline gave him. However, Carmichael disagrees with this, stating that Jack is only trying to help Christo fool the audience. After this, Carmichael offers Christo $500,000 to conjure Madeline's spirit again. However, Christo soon begins to feel sick and then projects a black puke towards Carmichael's. Following this incident, Jack orders that they go for commercial and Christo gets rushed to the hospital. Later, Carmichael confronts Jack about the whole performance, stating that Christo must have told him. Shortly after they return from the commercial, Jack tells the audience about the next guest, Dr. June Rose Mitchell, a parapsychologist and the author of a soon-to-be-released book titled Conversation with the Devil. Dr. June happens to have studied and written about a little demon-possessed girl named Lily. Afterward, Jack plays a recorded tape that explains how Lily became demon-possessed after she survived a suicide fire accident that happened in the infamous First Satanic Church of Abraxas, an occultic organization that worshipped Abraxas. After several reports of kidnapping, ritual killings, and illegal arms dealings, the FBI laid siege to the Satanic Church of Abraxas. After a 3-day standoff, the leader of the church, Dablo, alongside his members, burns themselves up while inside the church. However, a 10-year-old Lily managed to survive the harrowing incident. Shortly after this, Lily is reported to have exhibited strange behaviors, which prompted Dr. June to take her into private care to explain her behavior. Afterward, Jack welcomes Dr. June and Lily up on stage. Soon, Lily begins to exhibit strange behaviors on stage, but Dr. June manages to keep her in check. During a short commercial break, Dr. June tells Jack that she might need to back out of the show because Lily has been exhibiting some unpredictable behaviors. However, Jack tells her that it's good for the show and that it will help the sales of her new book. As they continue to argue, Jack begins to seductively get closer to Dr. June, but they soon get interrupted by Leo's presence. This time, Leo reveals to Jack that Christo passed away and that they need to keep the information a secret at least till after the show. Back on stage, Carmichael expresses his disbelief over Dr. June's claim that Lily is possessed by a demon. However, Dr. June says that she has a PhD in parapsychology, proving she's a certified professional. Regardless of this, Carmichael continues to discredit her claims so much that Jack shuts him up as he continues to interview Dr. June. With this, Dr. June explains that Lily is possessed by a lower deity that serves Abraxas. After this, Jack proceeds to showcase Dr. June's collection of paranormal objects, which includes a human skull and a dagger that Dablo used for his sacrificial killings in the Abraxas church. However, Carmichael picks up the dagger and makes a funny joke about being possessed to commit suicide. Afterward, he reveals that Abraxas was a con showman who craved attention, and that his name gave rise to the common phrase abracadabra that magicians use. Later, Jack turns to Lily to ask her about the demon that lives inside her, and she reveals that she calls him Mr. Wriggles. At the same time, Gus, Jack's partner and sound manager, plays a loud, eerie music, but Jack requests that he turns it down. As Gus attempts to turn it down, he gets electrified by the device and glasses around shatter. Soon, Carmichael unplugs the device, claiming it's just a technical issue. However, Lily tells Jack that it isn't a technical issue, but Mr. Wriggles' doing. Curious, Jack asks Lily if Mr. Wriggles is present, and she answers yes. Jack further requests that she invite Mr. Wriggle, but Dr. June quickly rejects his offer, stating that the environment is not conducive for summoning a demon. However, Lily begs Dr. June to let her do it, and the audience also begins to chant in support. With this, Dr. June agrees to allow it on the condition that everyone cooperate with her during the summoning. After this, they go on another commercial break as they prepare to interview the devil. Backstage, Gus confronts Jack about the demonic show he's about to put on, stating that he's meddling with things he doesn't understand. However, Jack tells him to get himself together because the show continues. Back on stage, Dr. June addresses the audience to remain calm regardless of what they see or hear. As soon as Dr. June begins the summoning process, Mr. Wriggles manifests through Lily, leaving the audience in shock as her face and voice become somewhat masculine. Soon, Mr. Wriggles greets Jack and reveals that he's pleased to meet him again. Upon hearing this, Jack stares in shock as Mr. Wriggles reveals that they go way back. At this point, Dr. June attempts to get Lily's back, but Mr. Wriggles shuns her off and begins to reveal shocking details about Jack's affairs with Dr. June. Soon, Lily begins to sing a song about it, and after many failed attempts to get her to stop, Dr. June angrily slaps her. Lily begins to cry in pain, asking Dr. June why she chose to hurt her. Feeling sorry, Dr. June decides to apologize, but Lily attacks her, and Dr. June immediately begins to cast a spell to send Mr. Wriggles out of Lily's body. However, Lily turns to Jack and mimics Madeline's voice, asking him why he'd let it happen. Soon electric currents appear to run through the studio, indicating that Mr. Wriggles is now out. Following this, Lily's chair begins to levitate, and everything soon returns to normal. Dr. June apologizes to Lily for putting her through the whole thing, and then begins to unstrap her from the chair. Meanwhile, Carmichael immediately begins to protest the whole thing, stating that Dr. June has pulled a trick on them. Backstage, Leo reveals to Jack that they've gotten the attention of the Communications Commission, which proves that they are on track with their plans to gain attention. However, a scared Jack points out the fact that Lily spoke using his wife's voice, but Leo tells him it's not a big deal. Back on stage, Lily apologizes to Jack for what Mr. Wriggles must have said, and the show continues. At this point, Carmichael relentlessly tries to disapprove of the whole thing as a trick, but Jack asks him how to explain how Lily managed to change her voice, her looks, and even the levitation thing. However, Carmichael insists that it was all staged, and that everyone present had been hypnotized. However, Jack reveals to the audience that Carmichael is only refusing to believe because he doesn't want to part ways with his money. With this, Carmichael takes Gus to center stage as he attempts to prove his point. Carmichael manages to place Gus in a hypnotic state, and then make everyone believe he is making worms come out of Gus's body. However, it soon becomes clear that Carmichael manages to just put a mind trick in everyone, and Jack requests that they watch the videos again, and they realize that it's different from what they had just seen. However, to prove that the conjuring was real, Lily suggests that they also watch the video of the summoning. Scared, Dr. June vehemently states that it's enough for the night, but Lily insists that they watch it. Now, while watching the video, Jack spots the figure of his late wife standing behind him. Seeing this, Carmichael accuses Jack of manipulating the videotapes to elaborate his hoax. At the same time, Lily begins to shiver and electricity begins to flow through her body as the lights go off. It immediately becomes clear that Mr. Wriggles has now possessed again Lily's body. Soon, her head splits and uses her powers to kill Gus by twisting his neck. Afterward, she uses her powers to choke Dr. June with the necklace and then slits her throat. At this point, Carmichael goes on his knees and begins to beg for his life, but he soon gets burnt from inside out. However, it appears that Jack manages to escape as Leo pulls him backstage. At this point, Jack suddenly begins to hallucinate, seeing a bizarre version of all his previous stage performances. Afterward, Jack realizes that he must have met Mr. Wriggles at the Grove after he signed his 5-year deal with UBC. It is then revealed that Jack was indirectly responsible for Madeline's fatal illness and subsequent death. It appears that she was the price he paid for his sudden rise to fame. After taking part in a ritual, we see Jack approaching Madeline, who is lying helplessly. Madeline begs him to put her out of her misery, as the cancer seems to be causing her too much pain. Using the ritualistic dagger from Lily's old cult, Jack stabs Madeline, and the scene suddenly shifts to the now empty UBC studios. As Jack regains himself, it becomes clear he has subconsciously stabbed Lily to death. With this, Jack realizes it's all over now, and his dream of attaining the top spot in showbiz has finally been shattered. Soon we hear a police siren approaching the studio and the movie ends. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.